Hey guys, Matt here today, getting back into John 6, and today really short video, really simple video with massive theological implications. So, we talked about Jesus being the fruitful one. John 6, 1 through 15, he doesn't just feed the 5,000, there's leftover, as much as everyone wanted, is basically what it says. We all have as much of Jesus as we want. Right? He's the fruitful one. He's the one that Genesis 1:28 blessing, finally, someone it lands on. Someone can wear this thing. Someone can walk it out. Adam couldn't do it. Noah couldn't do it. Abram couldn't do it. David, on and on and on. No one could be fruitful and multiply in the way that God had intended. God makes a blessing, pronounces a blessing that only God can fulfill. He fulfills it in Christ. And from there, a perfect segue into John 2:16, and it says this: when evening came, John 6:16 rather, when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, started across the sea to Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not come to them. The sea became rough because the strong wind was blowing. Okay, so interesting thing about John. John's more of a shower than a teller. Even though this is narrative, this is the Gospel of John. This isn't Revelation, right? This isn't poetic or apocalyptic or prophetic. He's got little overtones of poetry in his writing. And so let me give you an example. The evening came, they get in a boat and go down to the sea. What's really being said here? Well, the sea, especially in the Old Testament, always represented sin and chaos. In fact, the Jewish folklore was that there was a sea monster living in the sea, and he was to be avoided at all costs. He made people terrified. So they just happened to go down to the sea in the middle of the night. It's dark. Why would they do that? Well, God's sovereignty is at work here. He wants to show them the fruitful one, he has dominion. He's got dominion over everything. So, it's dark. Jesus had not yet come to them. It's dark and they're at the sea. And Jesus had not come. What do they need? Well, they need Jesus to come in more ways than one. Right? Verse 18, the sea became rough because the strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and coming near to the boat, and they were frightened. It's a frightening thing to see someone walking on water. I can only imagine. Verse 20, but he said to them, it is I, do not be afraid. Verse 21, then they were glad to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat was on land to which they were going. So, the big picture, sea represents sin. It's dark, it's nighttime, Jesus wasn't there, the wind's blowing, the waves blowing, and what do they see? 3, 4 miles out, here comes Jesus walking on top of the waves, almost like he has dominion. He does have dominion. That's the point of the story, right? I was reading this today and I was noodling on this and I thought, it reminds me of Revelation 21 and also Revelation chapter 2. Revelation 21, just the first couple verses. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. That doesn't mean there's not going to be a sea in heaven. It means sin is done away with. The chaos, the sin, it's all gone. That's what Jesus is showing us. He's casually walking. By the way, 3 to 4 miles, it probably didn't take him 7.5 minutes per mile or 10 minutes per mile, however you would walk. Nah. Why? Because he has dominion over that too. He's got dominion over sea, sin, over the waves and the wind, darkness, nighttime. He has dominion over sin, death, chaos, wickedness. He's got dominion over all that in time and space. He got there as quick as he wanted to get there, and as soon as he gets in the boat, immediately they're back at land. What's the big idea? Everything's under Jesus' feet. Jesus has dominion over everything. In fact, it reminded me of the letter to Thyatira in Revelation 2, verse 18. And to the angel of the church in Thyatira write the words of the Son of God, who has eyes like a flame of fire and whose feet are burnished bronze. His feet are like burnished bronze. Bronze usually is pointing to sin, but here Jesus has no sin, but sin's under his feet. The sea is under his feet. Everything's under his feet. He's the heir. He's the king we've been waiting for. He's the heir. Everything belongs to Jesus. Everything's under his feet. He has all dominion. So what do you do with the story? Well, I think the only thing you can do with that story is, I better know the one who has dominion. I better know the one who's fruitful and multiplies. I better know the one who controls sin and death, who has it under his feet, because we're all born with a sin and death problem. They did a survey and 1 out of 1 of every person dies. They better not die in their sin though. If they know Jesus, that sin has been dealt with. It's under his feet. Isn't that a beautiful story? We'll leave it there, keep it short. Moving on tomorrow to verse 22. Peace.